I understand you two are thinking about getting married. It's my job to tell you guys how you can make your marriage healthy, loving, and sacramental. For the church, marriage is a sacrament. A sacrament is a physical representation of God's grace given to us from God. In the case of marriage in the Catholic Church, a man and a woman are joined together physically and spiritually. God is love, and the love between a married man and woman is a gift of God's grace because it is the closest earthly thing to the love of God. In the Bible, this is evident in Ephesians 5:25 through 29, which says, "Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church, and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle, or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church." The most important aspect of matrimony is the profession of vows, which, lucky for you, you don't have to write them. The church wrote them for you, so no mushy-gushy stuff. The first one states, "We come freely and without reserve to give ourselves to each other in marriage." In other words, no one is forcing you to get married. And you need to be sure on this decision. The second states, "We will honor each other as husband and wife for the rest of our lives." This means you will be faithful to each other until death. Third, "We will accept children lovingly from God and bring them up according to the law of Christ and his church." In marriage, you can't hold anything back. It is a complete yes to Jesus and your partner, and part of that is being open to welcoming children. Lastly, I take you to be my wife in good times and in bad, and I will be true to you in sickness and in health. I will love and honor you all the days of my life. This means that you don't get to pick to stay with them until they are a burden to you. Marriage is a commitment to a person, no matter what, until death. Lastly, I want to leave you with a few strategies to help create a loving, healthy environment in marriage. In The Road Less Traveled, it states, "The experience of falling in love is invariably temporary." But it doesn't mean that we stop loving someone when we fall out of love with them. What this means is that we often confuse love as a mushy feeling we get and confirm through some amount of time being with the person. In the vows, we are called to love the other person until death, in good times and in bad. Instead, love is marriage. Love in marriage is supposed to be a beautiful commitment, rather than a feeling which can certainly go away. Keeping this in mind from the start of your relationship, your partner will eventually change. They will eventually have wrinkles and gray hairs, but you are called to love them no matter what. Secondly, I have seen or heard of people marrying from outside of incentive, of a desire for good. I have seen or heard about people marrying for some outside incentive, outside of a desire for good of the other person. Some of these include desiring the partner's money, not being sure at the time of marriage that they want it to happen, or just being pressured by, say, a parent to marry someone. It would be a good idea to take as much time as you need to decide that you are sure you can fulfill the freely and total aspect of the vows to your full stability. Lastly, there is a passage in The Road Less Traveled that spoke to me saying, "Love involves change in self, extension of the self, not sacrifice of the self." Genuine love is a self-replenishing activity. It enlarges rather than diminishes the self. It fills the self rather than depleting it. Depleting the self is different than just being tired at the end of a long day. I know I'm not married, but this is something I can see my mother doing to me and my family and my father. Both my parents work as doctors, and I have 4 younger siblings, and we are very involved. My mother pours herself into all of us with love, trying to make our lives perfect. But she ends up emptying herself because she won't accept love from us. She gets super stressed out and has trouble cutting back or accepting help. And I advise you to combat this. You should try to love your spouse and children totally and freely, but both of you need to make sure to check in and care for the other partner as well.